What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Python series. This series is going to be concerning MySQL with Python. So if you're only after simple storage and retrieval and you want just the most basic solution for that, yet you still want to use an SQL database, then you might be interested more so in my SQLite series. So SQLite, as its name suggests, is a lightweight SQL solution that is really easily used with Python. And so I will put the links to those 3 videos in the description. Basically, the first one is setting up the database, second one is storing data, and the third one is retrieving data. Now, historically, I've avoided doing a full MySQL tutorial, mostly because Windows users are going to tend to have issues installing and setting up an SQL server to run on their computer. And it just would have been a mess, right? So you gotta set it up and open up the right ports, send the correct information to the 9th ward of the Interplanetary Xenon Space Cadet Victor Charlie Alpha, and you know what? At that point, people just kind of throw in the towel. So we wouldn't really get very far. Probably have really bad retention because it's just kind of tough. So I did just recently show you guys that Python Anywhere website, which is here, and I thought, you know what, this would be a good place to do SQL plus Python. So anybody that doesn't want to have to deal with installing MySQL, or MySQL plus Python rather. So anybody that doesn't want to deal with installing and setting up a MySQL server or maybe run their computer if they don't already have a shared hosting plan somewhere, or even VPS and whatnot, that they could still follow along. So even noobs, because most of my tutorials I try to make them to the point where if you're brand new you can still follow along. So really this just makes the perfect solution, because everyone will be able to follow along identically with me if they want to, and everyone is on the same platform, so that makes it just super easy. So setting up an account on here is real quick and easy. If you don't have an account already, you'll probably arrive at a page like this. It's completely free to make an account. You just don't get a lot of processing. But we'll structure the tutorial so you won't exceed that processing anyways. So you can make an account. Just click here, and it's very sincere in its little statement here. You can create a beginner account, and literally you fill this out, hit this, register, you're ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and log in now to my account, which just so happens to be beginner account. So we'll log into that. Apparently that was, let's see, dashboard. I don't know why it sent me back to that page. Anyway, so when you log in, you should see something like this. And it just so happens that they've actually already got MySQL installed and ready to go. If you decided to not follow my my advice and just follow us here, you can run a sudo apt-get install mysql-server, sudo apt-get install python-mysqldb, then do a go into your MySQL like with bash mysql-u root-p, get it, just whatever it takes for you to get into that basically MySQL line here. Well, I can't show you just yet, but I'll show you guys in a second. And then you just write create database testdb, or whatever you want to make, the name of your database, and then you'll be able to follow along with us. And that should be really it if you want to cheat. So anyways, with that, I'm going to let you guys that want to blaze your own path continue blazing your own path. So anyway, now that you've got an account, whenever you come here, what we want to do is, we want to make a database here. So, and then also keep this in mind whenever you're connecting to a database. Like say you did have a local database, a lot of times you can just say localhost is where you want to connect, as long as the files are on the same server. But you can't do that here. So this will take the place of localhost. And then your username is the same username you're using. And then database password, it's suggested that you don't use the same password as your account name, because of right here, it's gonna any like text or any Python applications you write, that database password is going to be visible. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and make my password cookies, since y'all are gonna see it anyways. So set database password. Awesome. So now we've got the first database here, and you can see the name of the database is always, you get set up with a default database. or a database called default. But every database you ever make, like if you make another database, like I'll make a database called tutorial, and you create that database, you'll see that it always starts with beginner account, $, and then the name of that database. So that's that. Now you've got the database set up. Now it's learn to kind of communicate with it. So eventually, yeah, you want to communicate with it via a Python script, but also you want to know how to communicate with it by hand, basically, so you can later communicate via SSH, and then later communicate via SSH by your program. So it does become useful to be able to do this, and plus if you want to run, especially like when it comes to creating tables, sometimes it's just quicker by hand to make it by hand than to code a program that makes the table, if it's a new thing anyways. If you're going to be making a lot of new tables, then you might as well make a program to do it. But anyway, and then also when it comes to like deleting or getting rid of maybe corrupt data, you usually do that by hand. So anyway, it's good to know how to do it. So what we're going to do is pop over to consoles. Now they're nice and they give us a MySQL console, so you can just click on this and you start already in the MySQL console as soon as it loads. And so yeah, so you're ready to give MySQL queries, but not everybody's going to have it that way. And if you ever move on past maybe hosting here and you have another hosting provider, you probably aren't going to get that. You're just going to have a bash line when you connect via SSH. It's going to look more like this. So how you get to that MySQL, first of all, you better have MySQL installed and a database and everything. But here, what you're going to do is call MySQL, and then we're going to -u, and then you put in your username. In my case, it's beginner, what is it, beginner user or beginner account? I already forgot. Let me go, go look. I just made it. It's beginner account. So we guessed right. Good job. Beginner account, and then -h, and so user is just your username, right? And then -h will be where you're connecting. So a lot of times it would be localhost, but in our case we can't do that. So it's MySQL.server and -p, and now you're going to need to put in the password. And this is the password, your database password, right? So in my case it was cookies. Whatever yours is, can be whatever. I highly suggest cookies. It's a great password. Just kidding, I don't. Anyway, so now we're in the database. So the first thing that you'll be able to do, and the only thing that we can do so far, since it's pretty much all we have is a database, is run a command called show databases. Don't forget your semicolon, otherwise it's going to do this to you, and you're going to be like, oh, I forgot my semicolon. Anyway, so now what it's going to do is print out its best attempt at a GUI, and it prints out, we've got information schema. Then we've got the default table, or default database, not a table. And then we've got the one that we made. Now, it's not really necessary. You don't have to do your commands in all caps. But generally, especially in code, it makes it really helpful to anybody reading it to know what's like a table name and what's an actual SQL command. So you've got all kinds of stuff like, oops, I thought I hit the caps. Select and insert and delete and all this kind of stuff. An update, not like that, but update. So you put it in all caps, but you don't have to, but it just helps for your purposes in debugging, and then also reading your own old scripts maybe, and then also if you're collaborating with people, it's just nice. Another useful query to have it, you can run it pretty much whenever, is show process list. And what this is going to do is show you all the processes that are occurring right now. And so if you ever have like a process that you find yourself with MySQL is using up 100% of your CPU, and you want to know what the heck is going on, you can do this and see what kind of processes are still running, and then you can shut them down via their little ID right here. So you can kill the process. And I'll probably show you guys that later, but anyway, just that's where you can start whenever if you do find yourself at 100% and you don't know why. So anyway, those are the basic topics. Now, in the next video, I'm going to be talking about setting up a new table via the same little command line here, and then a little bit of inserting data into those tables, and then probably in the next video after that, manipulating that data a little bit, and then also just some pro tips. Right? I'm not a pro, but these are other people's pro tips. So anyway. Stay tuned for those videos. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for the support and the subscriptions. And until next time.